Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Our Stoney Acres. Welcome to our YouTube channel. While you're here, please make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you get noticed every time we release new videos. Okay, so we're in the garage, still wintertime, snowing outside right now, so I thought that I would take a few minutes to do a little garden chat. First off, guys, last week we did a 30-minute workshop on starting seedlings. Holy cow, thank you guys. So many comments and so many views. Just wow. Thanks. I just wanted to say thanks because I've been super happy with the response and what everybody thought. So if you haven't watched that video yet, you can click the link up above and check that out. Now this week we're not going to go quite as intense. We're going to talk about easy crops that you can be growing in your garden. So these are kind of geared towards new gardeners or those of you that are struggling a little bit. I want to get you some success this spring, and so we're going to talk about some simple crops that you can grow that will get you a good successful garden where you'll actually be eating the food, okay? So we've got 10 on the list that we're going to talk about today. So number one on the list is peas, and in particular we are going to be looking at snow peas or sugar snap peas, okay? Now, why would I steer you away from the traditional shelling peas? Some people call them English peas. The reason why is because those are a little bit harder to grow. They're a little bit less productive in the same amount of space, and they're a little bit harder to tell when they're ready to harvest. And so instead, if you're just starting out and you want to grow some peas, I want you to grow either snow peas or sugar snap peas because they are so simple to grow, and you can tuck them into corners. All they need is a little bit of something to grow up on, so a tomato cage, a trellis, maybe even just a simple pole, something like that, and you'll get a whole bunch more production from the same amount of space with those tall growing plants than you will from the smaller traditional pea. And then the nice thing about snow peas and sugar snap peas is it doesn't matter when you harvest them. They're good to eat anytime. So both of them have a very tender pod, and you can eat the pod. And so the snow peas are kind of a longer, flatter pea, and they're grown exclusively just for the pod. They're great in stir fries and things like that. Or you can get the sugar snap peas, which again, the pod is edible the whole time, but it will actually grow the kind of more traditional pea inside the shell. Either one of those, great to grow, simple, easy, and so number one on my list of easy things to grow. Number two on the list is Swiss chard. So Swiss chard is one that we really like in our family. We grow it every year. It's very productive, and it's a nice plant. One of the reasons why I like it so much is it's one of the cool season greens that will actually cross over into the warm season. So you can plant it in the spring and harvest baby leaves. You can harvest the leaves when they're smaller. They go really well in salads. And then as the plant starts to mature, it will get thicker stalks and bigger leaves, and those are great for cooking. And so we'll have cooked greens with those. The stalks actually kind of make a relatively decent stand-in for celery in a recipe. It doesn't have the same flavor, but you can use those. Our kids will eat the stalks of Swiss chard just like they would celery, put a little peanut butter in it, and it's really good. Again, a little bit different taste, but a very versatile crop. And then it will go well in the summertime. So it crosses over and it doesn't get bitter. It's slow to go to seed, and so a really good crop. And then you can plant them again in the fall, and they stand up really well to the cold temperatures and will do well in cold frames or hoop houses. So Swiss chard, just a great option, very versatile plant, quick growing, and you'll have a harvest ready in 40 to 45 days. So just a fantastic, simple plant to grow in your garden. Third on our list is lettuces, and in particular we're looking here at leaf lettuces. So the reason why I like leaf lettuces so much is because they grow so quickly, they're easy to grow, they're carefree, they don't have a lot of pests, and they're ready to start eating in as little as 30 days. So if you like them in the baby stage, 30 days from planting, those guys will be ready to harvest. The other nice thing about leaf lettuces is you can do what's called cut and come again, which means that when the plant gets up to a nice harvestable size, you know, maybe 3 or 4 inches tall, you can actually cut that off and just leave about the bottom inch, and it will regrow, okay? So you can do that 2 or 3 times during the season, and so you'll end up getting 2 or 3 harvests from that same spot, which is really, really nice. Fun thing to do, and it makes it super productive. Leaf lettuces come in a huge variety of colors. You've got the pale greens, the dark greens, then you move into the purples and the reds. Just a great variety out there, literally hundreds of different varieties that you can try. And they're really good for succession planting, so we like to try to plant about every 3 weeks. So we'll start early in the spring, and we'll get a planting in, and 3 weeks later we plant some more, and then we kind of just have this continual harvest going throughout the spring, and then we kind of pause during the summertime a little bit, and then we'll start again in the fall. And that's the other nice thing, is it's a 2-crop plant, and so you can plant them in the spring and then do it again in the fall. They hold up well to frost, and so you can get them in early. You can keep them in your garden late in the fall. So leaf lettuces are a great option for a brand new gardener. Okay, number 4 on our list of easy crops to grow in your vegetable garden is radishes. And radishes are here for a couple of different reasons. Number 1, they, like lettuce, are very, very good for succession planting. So you can plant them every 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll kind of have a continual harvest through the spring, and then you can do it again in the fall. They do really, really well for succession planting. They're also very quick to harvest. So as little as like 28 days for some varieties, and they're ready to go. So you can plant those. So it gives you something right away. You see some quick results. They're great for kids. Kids love to see that quick result. And they're also really nice for filling in empty spots or for interplanting with other crops. So if you've got something that's really slow growing, like maybe a broccoli plant or a cabbage plant, you can plant radishes around that. And as that slowly grows, the radishes will come up and be harvested and long gone before the broccoli plant really kind of takes over the space. So radishes are a great, easy crop for you to grow in your garden. Next on the list is probably the most controversial garden vegetable that you can grow, and that is kale. So kale is one of those that you either love or you hate, and I honestly didn't like it for a long time. It took me several years of eating it before I kind of finally have now acquired a taste for it. And we actually eat kale in our family almost every day because it is just so healthy for you. So if you can kind of acquire the taste, then kale is just a very, very good plant to grow. It's easy to grow, pretty carefree. It doesn't have a lot of pests. Sometimes aphids will bother it, but it doesn't really have a lot of pests. And then the other nice thing is it's a 4-season crop. So depending on where you live, you could plant it in the spring, plant it again in the summer, in the fall, and it'll even, go through the wintertime. I've had, in our Zone 6 garden, I've had kale plants survive all the way through the winter unprotected in our garden. So it's a very hardy, it's frost hardy, and it's another one of those greens that you can plant in the spring and it will cross over into the warm season. Doesn't taste quite as good in the summertime, but you can plant it and have those greens all year long. And so kale is a great, very versatile plant. And then again, it is like literally one of the most nutritious plants that you can eat, full of fiber, full of all kinds of nutrients. And so you need to get kale into your rotation in your garden. Number 6 is everybody's favorite, and that's tomatoes. And in particular, for easy tomatoes to grow, we want to be looking at what we call a determinant tomato. So there's 2 types of tomatoes, indeterminate and determinate. And determinate, like its name says, they grow to a very determined size. So most determinate plants don't get any taller than maybe shoulder height, sometimes not even that tall. So they're really easy to grow, like in tomato cages. They don't take up a lot of space. They do well in containers. And they're very dependable in their production. So they will grow to a certain size and produce a certain amount of fruit every year, fairly carefree. So you really don't need to do a lot of pruning. In fact, you could get away with not pruning them at all if you wanted to. They do need, like a tomato cage or something, but you don't have to fuss with trellises and tying them up and all that kind of stuff. So if you're just getting started and you want to grow some tomatoes, choose a determinant variety, and you should be able, in your seed catalogs or at your nursery, it should say on the tag that this is either a determinant or an indeterminate variety, and you want to choose, for simplicity, a determinant variety of tomatoes. Next is one of my favorites, and that's bush beans, okay? So we love growing bush beans because they're quick to grow and they're really simple to grow. They like literally have almost no pests at all. The other nice thing about bush beans is they grow so quickly that they usually can kind of beat some of the disease issues that other beans will have. They're usually ready in about 60 days, which is super nice. So, 60 days to harvest. And then if you continually harvest them and you keep harvesting them consistently every couple of days, they'll keep producing and do really, really well. I love bush beans for just kind of tucking into places in my garden, somewhere that I know this plant isn't quite going to fill up that space. I'll tuck in some bush beans there because then you'll have some production in that area that otherwise would be wasted. The other nice thing I like about bush beans is because they're such short growing season, again, 60 to 70 days, and they're usually ready to harvest, that means that I can use them to fill in spaces in my garden in the summertime. So, for example, when my onions or my garlic are finished up, I can plant beans in that location and they will come up and do really well and will be done before the frost comes. So if I plant them in the middle of July, they'll be finished up about the middle of September and maybe straggle into October. That beats our frost and gives us a good option there. So the other nice thing is you don't have to mess with them sprawling all over the place. You don't have to worry about a trellis. Very simple to grow, lots of different varieties, different colors, different sizes and shapes. So bush beans are another one of our easiest plants to grow in the garden. Number 7 is either going to make you very popular with your neighbors or they're going to hate your guts. Okay, one or the other. It depends on how many you plant. And that is zucchini. Okay, so my neighbors, when zucchini season is on, they start locking their car doors so that I don't leave zucchini for them all over the place. You have to be really careful with zucchini because it can very quickly produce a lot of fruit. And so if you're just starting out and you're not sure you like zucchini, just plant one plant, okay? Because one plant at the peak of production is going to be putting out somewhere between 3 to 5 zucchini in a week. And so be careful. I know some new gardeners that have put in 3 or 4 plants and just been overwhelmed with zucchini. And so you have to be really careful. And a couple of other nice things about zucchini that make them easy to grow is they're quicker than most squash plants to get to harvest. And so that makes them a little easier to kind of beat some of the problems that squashes have, things like powdery mildew or squash bugs or even the squash vine borer. A lot of times you'll be able to beat those pest problems by getting zucchini planted early in the season, and they'll be ready in as little as 60 days, and so that will help you a little bit there as well. So zucchini is a great easy plant to grow, very rewarding. You'll get a lot of production out of them, and a great option for a new gardener. But do realize that most zucchini plants take quite a bit of space, and so you're going to want to be careful about that. All right, number 9 on our list is one of 2 herbs that we're going to talk about today, and it is cilantro. So again, cilantro is one of those kind of controversial herbs. People either love it or it tastes like soap to them. For me, it tastes like soap, but several people in our family like it, and so we grow cilantro. And it's really easy to grow. It's frost tolerant, easy to take care of, doesn't need a lot of care, doesn't have a lot of pest problems. The one thing that you do need to make sure that you're aware of with cilantro, though, is it's a cool season crop, very much so. So you either need to grow it in the spring or you need to grow it in the fall. As soon as the temperatures warm up past about 75 degrees, it's going to bolt to seed and try to set seed, and you'll lose your plants. Now, that's not always a bad thing because the seeds are actually an herb as well. And in North America, we call that coriander. So the seeds are actually coriander, and we call the plant cilantro here in North America. And you can harvest those seeds and use those as a spice as well. But if you're just looking for the leaves, then it needs to be an early spring planting or a fall planting so that it grows during the cool time, because as soon as that heat shows up, it's gonna want to set seeds. So other than that, though, cilantro is a very easy to maintain plant and a great, very productive plant for a new gardener. All right, number 10 on our list is another easy to grow herb, and it's parsley. And we love parsley around our place. We eat it. It's a good accent. It's not an overpowering herb by any stretch. It goes well in a lot of different varieties of dishes. It's a great garnish. And it's a super nice looking garden plant. And so we will often plant parsley in our flower beds because it looks so nice that we can use it and it accents the flowers and looks really good. I have a friend, a gardening friend, who lines her pathway that leads back to her garden with parsley. So it's a good border plant as well. Very easy to grow. You plant it in the spring, it's gonna produce all summer long, and it's even going to stand up to the frost in the fall. I've covered parsley before with a fabric row cover and been able to harvest it late into the winter. And so super hardy, super productive, just an easy plant to grow, pretty carefree, doesn't have a lot of pest problems. And so if you're looking to grow some herbs in your garden, that is definitely one that you want to grow. Okay guys, so that is your 10 easiest crops to grow in a garden for a new gardener. Now, of course, this is my opinion, so I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What do you think are some of the easiest crops to grow? Do you disagree with any of the ones on my list? Let me know. I love interacting with you guys, so I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. I love to teach new gardeners how to grow gardens and how to get good productive gardens set up. That's just something that I love to do. That's why I've created this YouTube channel. And that's also why I've created the Gardening Academy, which is our subscription service. So you sign up for the Gardening Academy, and you pay a monthly subscription, and we provide weekly content that helps you become a better gardener. We have planting guides, we have mini courses that we produce every month. We already have like 15 mini courses that are part of the Gardening Academy. We have 3 full-size courses that will help you grow better and teach you kind of the foundational skills that you need to become a better gardener. And then on top of that, we do all kinds of little fun projects and different things that we do throughout the month. And then we have a live Q&A session once a month where we get on a Zoom call and you guys can interact with me and ask me questions about your garden. So that's called the Gardening Academy. And again, that is a great place if you're starting out or wanting to improve your gardening skills at all. Fantastic place for you to go and join, and it helps to support our channel and our website. And so I would love to have you become part of the Gardening Academy. We have a great little group there. It's growing and growing every month. And so down in the description below, there's a link that will take you out to the Gardening Academy so that you can learn more and sign up. So I'd love to have you. Please go sign up for that. Okay, that is all that I have for you for this week. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you comment. Let me know what you think of the list, and then make sure you subscribe. Okay, we'll see you next week. Everybody have a great week. Happy gardening.